Hello, everybody. Hi. So
Hello, it's all
let's get
you. Welcome.
started. Yep. So my name is Damir. I've already introduced myself in previous sessions. So today I will continue on the topics that my fellow colleagues talked about previously. I will say a bit about social engineering, what hackers do to bypass multi-factor authentication, and what are some common privacy failures that we have faced back in 2025. 2024 and years before that, but also what is the future of privacy and how we can get better at risk, being more risk aware, and how to set our goals in cybersecurity. So before that, I have this short session description, which I already told you about. So before we start, I will definitely show you, as I've already set a tone, something of attacks, breaches, and leaks, and how do we secure our identities from the side of software developer. So before we start, this is an interesting introduction that I've come across. It says the biggest security flaw in your enterprise isn't a missing patch, so missing a piece of software. It's the human story you haven't told yet. So I was asking myself what this could mean. So how does it correlate to social engineering or human engineering? So I've come up with this phrase saying, okay, human behavior and company culture are the greatest security risks that even more greater than technical vulnerabilities. So before that, as I mentioned, some of my previous experience working with technical vulnerabilities, I will start from that side. I will take 5 to 10 minutes to show about everyday life in developing a solution which could benefit your human engineering and your social skills before even trying to get hacked by someone from the outside of your company. So I think can you, Felipa, please change to this other. I don't. Okay, I think I can do it myself. Okay, cool. Thank you. So yeah, as I've already said a thing or two about this. Wait just a moment. Let me share. Okay. So yes. Okay, so I will take a couple of examples of just how do you actually, and tell you a bit about how do you build some. This is a technical documentation specification from years in past, where we developed some software authentication for a leader, Schneider, a company named Schneider Electric, which you all probably heard of. So how it started? So we wanted to make sure that we cover that we did cover everything. So, but you can never actually be sure if you're looking at it from the side of software developer. So we wanted roles. So how does it look like to secure a software? First, you want people to be secured. And what is an identity? In a software system, identity is a role. So you first develop, let's say we are developing some company portal. So first thing you will want to develop are roles. So we had like couple of them. You had company admin, somebody that's responsible for the company. So everything that happens around one company in a software platform, that would be a company admin. On the other side, you would have a professional user that has some privileges, some authorization. user that can do a lot. So if its role becomes compromised, that user could compromise the company. So the company admin role would be even on top of that. But even being a professional user has some privileges. So you definitely want to secure those roles. Those identities are like identities of our own, our ID documents inside a real life. So that would be like comparison to some admin inside the system. So whether it be a company admin or just a user, regular end user or professional user, you would still have other admins. So maybe not on the highest administration level, but somebody who can manage the roles, someone who can manage the users, someone who can welcome you into a company or similar. So yeah, this is how it looked like. So we estimated the time for developing some company. So we had a sprint in which we wanted to develop all these roles and make sure everybody's securely logged into his part of software. So we started developing a company admin. Later, we realized that the company admin can manage company profiles. So somebody who would claim a company profile, he would become automatically privileged to edit company details. So if you are editing company details, maybe you are somebody responsible for that company. But if somebody else gets your identity and tries to edit company details, that could become an issue. So even further than that, somebody who manages company, he or she can manage its own users. So rather than managing just company, you can compromise people inside that company. So each person that joins the company has its own not only privileges, but has the capabilities, has read and write assigned to scopes, assigned to its roles. So maybe that user can see and can compromise some files. But if taken by somebody from the outside of company, then it becomes a problem. We don't know who that is, and somebody who lost his credentials cannot we cannot be so sure that person was not the person that did the damage. So how can we be sure? We have to change that person, and we must employ somebody else in such situations. And rather than that, there is somebody who can manage company admins, and then somebody who can leave that role, and every step of that takes different approaches, and there's a lot of data that is included. So if you are claiming a company profile, if you are just logging into a session, there's a lot of details, a lot of data that can be compromised, a lot of tokens, a lot of secrets. Before you can manage this, at the bar, you can see just a regular user logged in under a name of Katie, with its own password, with its company info, contact details, and its profile. So you can see how does it look like when you're trying to develop something secure. So only if you are admin, only if you request to access some data from the portal, you can see that is allowed for professional users, and it can, that such a person can update company profile and logos. There are people that can upload terms and conditions, data privacy, privacy policy. So what if somebody can change then that data, and somebody agrees upon creating profile? So that's a lot of things we should think of before developing any kind of software. And only when user claims company profile, when we are sure that person has requested, and we are sure that we can allow this person to receive and review our data, then we can allow. So there is always a person on one side, and there is always somebody, some part of a software that is automatized. So whether you want to automate it, you will still have a step when some human will have to authorize you to do something. If it is something that can cause damage, something that's private or meaningful information. So after that, you can see how it looks like. So this is just a regular message that company admin is pending. So you have to wait before somebody comes inside profile inside of company, logs in as a company admin, and then approves that you are a professional user, that you can see the data from the company. So after that, you can see how it looks like after somebody gets enabled by the system. So you can see on the right side, you can see a request for the admin has been accepted. So now this user can see what it happens. It can see one application, which is called the universal account. He can see management portal. He can see some private applications. So even that, the system will notify the user that such a role has been accepted. And only then that user gets a scope assigned, a token, different token assigned to its ID, like you would get assigned a document beside your ID document. You could get some accreditation, and that accreditation would allow you to enter certain rooms in a building. In the same manner, you would be able to request data from the part of database that you weren't able. You could manipulate data from the people that work in those companies. And sometimes, like here, it is a platform, and that platform consists of multiple applications, and each application might have to 500,000 of users. Remember a scenario when we talked about doctors and hospitals. What if we had multiple hospitals and those different hospitals use different softwares? We would have to still create something like this, like a central place where we can manipulate different stacks were used for developing platforms. Different people, different technical expertise was used to develop for one hospital and different for another hospital. And that's how we get to insert, to see company details, and to become something inside the company, to see what does company does, where is it located, what is a person responsible who we can call to. And only that, you still have a factor that shows that you are logged in. So you have your own, this is a part of something that's done on the level of company, of an organization. But what if you are compromised? So you still have another factor that I will show you. So you have to use whether it be authenticator, to authenticate yourself using a mobile device. You can use your email. You can use your multi-factor authentication. You can use a phone number. You can use voice call. You can use many different factors to authorize yourself. And only then you come to a place where you have to authorize the company. You have to authorize something on a much higher level. So that's when things become interesting. And you can see how it looks like. You can see like my name and the role that I was assigned, like a company admin. You can see sources, the apps that I can use. You can see some other people, what are their functions, why are they authorized to use different parts of software. So what is the difference between company admin and the professional user? What is the status? So was it approved by somebody that's managing our sector? So yeah, you still get like to be unblocked or approved. You get approval pending. You get red sign if it's blocked, or there's always a reason behind it, and you still can create webhooks that send you an email on what's happening inside the software. This is a good example of how different applications can connect on a centralized place, and that is what the identity is for. So we can create a centralized platform, centralized place, and where we can manage, as you can see on this picture here, you can view who's the user that's requesting the data. Will we approve it? Why would we approve it? Who is that person? We have their emails, we have their company name, we have their branch, so we can communicate with them over the email, over Slack or other communication channel before we are sure we are giving that user some kind of authorization. we can see what that user is and why are we willing to give such a user an authority inside a company. So yeah, that's something I wanted to go through before we continue with some other things regarding social engineering. Also, if we want to leave a company, you still have to you still have to be sure that all the data gets deleted, that not even a session is available when somebody leaves a company. So that's something that takes time. So there should, in software development industry, not a single leak. Those are all leaks. So we have to make sure that every single detail gets created. That's why we have some journey that we created, like an example here. So what happens if we delete the user? What happens when you associate something to a user? So there's a lot of things that we have to communicate through during our meetings before we can sure that we have validated a person inside the system, and only then can we take multiple times more to test all the data and be sure we can say that we are sure that such leak will never happen. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. Now I will try to if I can share one more thing before going back to the slides. Okay, here it is. So yeah, as I've already showed you before, this is it will take maybe 5 minutes more, but it's something that I think everybody would find interesting. So how does it look like? So you get a request, you want to develop something we call authentication, something that we call a layer of security. The first step in everything we do online is developing an authentication and developing a security layer. So okay, we pick up the dates. How much time will we need to develop something? What is it? Who are we developing it for? And what does it do? Who are the people responsible? That's all what we state before we create some content. You can see here how it looks like to develop security, how to develop a security layer. So first you choose, I showed you diagram that we use. So which technology will we use? Here it is Auth0. It can be Entra, Microsoft Entra. It can be any provider that we need. So what we want to develop universal login. What would that be? Developing a universal login means that anybody can log in, that on the scope of what the company stands for, we have a universal login, some central place that everybody can see, that everybody can log in, and we are 100% sure that everybody that gets past that step is somebody we can trust in a system. That somebody can be on the other side of the world, that somebody could be on the other continent, but we don't care who that is. We are only sure that person is logged in, and we are 100% sure that we know the software that we developed, that everybody that passes that step, we are sure that he is not nobody that is not human, and that person is not somebody that can compromise our software. We must be 100, not 99.9, but 100% sure, and that is hard to achieve. Then we develop some screens. We want to visualize it. It's hard to say everything when we have team of the cross-functional teams of 20, 30, even hundreds of people. It's hard to say it. Sometimes you have to visualize. So you create screens. You employ a designer who will create those screens and then show everybody what software will look like before we get into technical details. We want a diagram. We want to show engineers what is the what is it, what does the software consists of, what are steps on each layer that we will develop. So we want to know application setup, what will user need. So each user will have a client ID and a secret. We have to choose a SDK that will be used. So we are sure that our authentication process works on any kind of device, on any kind of platform, mobile device, TV, desktop application, anything. We must be sure that everything works as expected. So we must choose a flow, which flow will be used to authorize our users. What is a type of verification, email, phone, voice call, how much is it important? If it's not a big deal, if we are not talking about private and valuable information, we might not need that. Everything costs today, so whatever you create, you will pay for it. So it's easy to say, okay, I will take best options. This software will never be compromised. But you will do it for a month, and then after a month you will see the prices rising up, and you will see you've developed something very strong, but you still have to pay for the services, whether it be Amazon Web Services. You have to save your data somewhere. You must do the disaster recovery. So you cannot do anything alone. You have everything available, but at a certain step, you must devote time, but you have to trust people. You have to trust that somebody will take care of that data, even if you are not around, even if your city loses electricity today, if a disaster hits your town or your village, or wherever you are situated, you cannot say, okay, my bad. No, 99.99% SLA means you are not the one who's responsible. There will be costs only if many people are responsible, and that's usually company and organization. So one person can never be responsible if it's not a person that's authorized and that is compromising the software. So yeah, we will come back to that when we talk about social engineering later on. So yeah, there's a lot of things we can cover here. So before developing something, we have to document everything. We make sure that everything is as expected, and then when we develop it, we can when we look it from the technical side, it will be much easier for you to realize all these leaks from the outside world. So once you are secure, you will see it everywhere. So once you are sure about what you have, what level of security you have, you will see it all around. You will see people as compromisers. You will see people as intruders. You will be willing to ask people to try to. So you might employ people and pay them money to say, okay, please log in and try to compromise this software. There's a lot of million of options that come to your mind once you are secure, because security is #1 factor in our lives. So only when we are secure can we are susceptible to walk, to learn, to talk to people, to open up and to speak about important things. So yeah, be sure you are secured before you secure part of yourself before you go out to the outside world talking about all these leaks. So yeah, I will shortly go through just a summary how it looks like. So we choose some factors we want to develop. Okay, you write it down. The screens, what do you want? You want to email verify. Okay, you want SMS verification. That is fine. You have to be sure you have some authorization servers you can trust. Then you create the diagrams. You see what are the key factors that might be compromised. That's a client ID secret. Where do you keep it? Is it some safe place in Microsoft Cloud? Is it some key vault, some Trezor? You have to be sure about that. Then choosing the technology. Which technology? Each technology has its own documentation. So you're using Angular, you're using iOS, Android. You have to be sure that the provider that you have chosen considers all these techniques. So if you develop for Android, it doesn't mean it will work for iOS. But if it does work, it doesn't mean you will not pay for it. So be sure you look at the expenses. You want to be sure you don't pay for something you don't use. You want to be sure you're not paying software that is not issued by some certified organization. So read forums, talk to people, talk to consultants, to experts, and be sure you document everything you need to build. So here you can see, okay, I want to have a professional user that logs in with mobile phone number. I want it to verify everything with 6-digit code that's been sent to SMS with certain provider, OAuth0. We want token to not be issued without a verified phone number for such a user. So you have to document everything before you build it. You have to customize it. You may have to make sure it looks demanding. That when we come back to social engineering, you will see that there's a lot of that relates to the way you engage. So your emotions, what makes you curious. If this thing makes you curious because it's beautiful, because OAuth0 developed it and you paid for it, and now it's your mind is curious and you click on it, be sure there's a hacker behind it that checked on that and that is using your curiosity to shoot back at you, so you get compromised. There are people, regular people. Ethical hacking is a branch in software engineering. So there are people, there are ethical hackers that are being paid by the legal companies. Being a hacker is nothing to worry about. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It is something that exists in everyday job of each company and organization. So everything we are talking about, that is not nothing that you see on the movies. It's just a regular everyday job that pays you money that you need to sustain life. So people call you a hacker, people call you ethical hacker. So that's an everyday job, and you can choose that to be one before choosing being a developer or anything else. So those are people that we need in the industry, and those are the people that we must trust. So you can find it everywhere. So today you're a cop, and tomorrow you might be an intruder. So you never know if you are the one, but you pay the price and you go on. Yeah, if you are the one that's responsible, but you are, if somebody is paying you, you are definitely responsible for something, and you can compromise your job position every day. So yeah, it's not easy being a human, but it gets better each day of your life. So yeah, first, before you have some schemas, before you want to be sure you have a user, what is that person? You know, we talked a lot about when we started with software development. First things you might hear of software patterns, and then abstraction. What does it mean being abstractive? So am I just a person with black hair and blue and brown eyes, or am I a person with brown eyes, with brown hair, with who is 170 or 80 centimeters long, who has certain weight? Am I a person? You know, it depends what you are developing. So you must know what is abstraction. You have to use abstraction in every layer of a security. So we start with some kind of user. We want to know what are the main factors. Today, it doesn't matter what are the colors of my eyes, so we don't use that. But we definitely care about first name. And then we talk. Everything we develop, we must ask, what does it mean, a first name? You put some time into it. Is that a valid information? When does that information becomes valid? Anybody can write a first name. What is a last name? What is a phone? Is that phone verified? Does that person have some privilege or a function inside the system? How do we recognize? All those data we must use when we are talking about something, where the person is born, the city, the zip code, the street. So yeah, what is the company that it works for? Languages we can use. We must be sure that we cover the languages, to localize it, to generalize it, to be sure that everybody can use our application. What are some updates that happen? Who updated the system? Who is responsible for updating the user? So there's a lot of data, and then we create some fake data or some testing data. So that usually includes scopes and claims. You can see here user metadata, company details. That is something that you pass as part of the token. Each token might hold your metadata, and then we extract the token and we see, okay, this person is authorized to see company details, so we give him that claim. We say this using metadata, we can see it's Damir, it's my name there. We see the phone number. We are sure, okay, this person is authorized. It has some company details that he can see. He must be a professional user. Then we are sure we have some data that we can talk to. So you see the software development cycle, how we slowly get to develop something meaningful. We start with basic details by a person, and the person has some identity, and then eventually that identity becomes important, and we call it profile, and each person becomes profile. That's how a platform, that's how a software gets to live. Once we are sure that that person that we talked about when we started building this software was a real person, and today that person is real inside the software system. It's not inside a laptop. The laptop might broke. It's not that doesn't work when we don't have internet. We make it work. We make sure that it's available and that somebody is standing behind it and that somebody is responsible. That's how it works, and that's how software becomes alive. And then we talked about bearer tokens. What does it mean? So you can see bearer token. You can see some OAuth0 management APIs. So usually there's an API, and then that API receives a certain token, and based on that token we know what this user can see. What is it, a regular company user? Is it an admin? We give him the software knows everything, but the API is the one that communicates with a person. So we know based on the token and the refresh token, we know what is the API sorry, that we are using and what are the details we will be providing. So yeah, that's it. Then you get some account basics, universal login. A regular person logs in. Then authentication API that gives you access to this application, to that application, but not to some other. What are the browsers supported? We have a lot of things we must think of before talking about when we are talking about roles and generally security in software development. So then we develop roles. What each role must do. What are the permissions? Invite users, add the company, add the branch, user certificate. Everything becomes important when we are talking about company. Everything becomes important when you talk about roles and admins and people in general. So yeah, you see different roles: branch owner, professional user. What are the user statuses? What are the webhooks? You've seen how intruders, how hackers try to get from you to click on that notification that you received, and then when you click on that notification, you give access to somebody to see that you have clicked, and you might expose your token, you might expose your session, and you might compromise yourself, the people you live with, the software, the data that you are using, and possibly people that are your colleagues. So make sure not to do that. Make sure you have webhooks to tell you what is happening. If user is updated, there is somebody that updated. There is a signature you can make. This person updated this. Don't be afraid to develop anything you need, and to be sure that you are 100% secured when talking about data, because data has to be 100% sure. So yeah, JVT tokens, APIs, OAuth clients, notifications, that is all you will hear about when talking about data, when talking about security. Metadata, avatars, pictures, you can hear some JavaScript implementation in production. So what happens when you update a user, when you delete a user, when user logs out? You have to clear all the data. You see here, insert code that triggers user token. So if user gets updates, maybe we update the token, because token holds some data that might be used later when we access some different part of application. We might send that token to another part of the system. And what if that token wasn't updated? You will get data from a user that was updated 2 minutes ago that changed its last name, and now you are not sure. And only one such example could, in production, could make a big leak. So yeah, why would you do that? So make sure you have everything ready before you talk about production. You have different development stages. You have some staging environments that you might use before that. So yeah, you can see here some parameters. You see a token on the top of the screen, but you see what that token consists of. Offset, how long does token last? What are the maximum number of results that token can give? What are some sensitive names? What does it match? What is a zip behind it? And what does it mark in an organization? What does it represent? So there's a lot of things we can query with a single token. So even today, tokens are very active, and people are still using tokens inside their sessions. So yeah, Amazon, definitely check it out. It gives you a lot of softwares you can use, same as Microsoft Cloud, to develop such sign-up pages, account applications, and companies and branches to be sure you are safe when talking about security. So yes, that's what I wanted to tell you before this, and shortly, yeah, I will get back to presentation just in a moment. So yeah, I think it's here. Oh, just a moment. Okay, here it is. Okay, so yeah, we told you that. So bigger security flow in the enterprise isn't a patch, but it might be a human. So be sure to check what are some of the tricks people are using. Human hacking is really active. It exists. It might be a crafted email. It might be a phone call you are using. It might be pretty much anything that might compromise your software. You can see here, recently I've read how old people, like 80% of old people are becoming compromised. So not just regular developers, not just people that are working in industry, old people with more than 70 years, they are the one losing millions because of not being aware of social engineering. The people will try to get your information. It's not a big deal if you get credit card details. You can use those details to compromise somebody. You must have some kind of software vulnerabilities, and that is fine. But make sure you don't make such mistakes. You make sure you don't lose trust of people, because it's not just money you lose trust, and that is what you probably heard of, that is most valuable. So it's trust that you stop believing in yourself if you lose that amount of money because of a misclick. You might never know what happened. So be aware that what you do on the internet, be aware you do it with great awareness, and follow some frameworks. You can see here what people have done. I've read recently, people are using, you can see here, psychological manipulation. Attackers exploit predictable psychological triggers to bypass rational thinking. So risky actions. That doesn't mean you should stop being human. You cannot control that. You see, this is, curiosity is normal in human mind. So don't use curiosity because you are afraid of something, but don't rather do it before you are not afraid. So you can see here, risky actions, compliance, authority becomes compliance, fear becomes hasty click. There are softwares that follow that patterns, that can see, okay, this person is somebody that fears. So he might become a person that we might attack and steal credentials from. So yeah, make sure you don't ignore that. Make sure you don't trust these emails are phishing tools. They are still active. There are people that are being trapped by AI. Recently, I've read about this company, Reuters, and UK company Arup that was attacked by AI. So there was a person showing as a real human being, but it was an AI trick. So people give credentials to such people online, and then they lose a huge amount of money. They lose trust, and what is most important, they lose belief to trust software tomorrow, and it is only because of their own stupidity and their own not non-behavior and not following the ways of ethical, being ethical, that you have to be aware and secure every second that you spend your time on the internet, especially if you are working with confidential data, if you are using your credentials like name, first name, last name, credit card, PayPal, or anything else. Be sure you are using a provider that you can trust. Here you can see how many people have lost. People lost millions. Some people lost even billions. And you can see it's all happening in 2025. People are becoming the number one factor. We call it social engineering. People attack your ways you interact with the computer, with the mobile device, because once you start spending, that's when you become important. Well, if you are not spending money, it doesn't mean there are not people that are not spending. If you are developing software, you must know what is outside. You cannot be the one that thinks that he knows. If you are not somebody that is spending every day thousands of money on something, there are people spending that money only to learn how to develop a software, valuable software that people can trust. How can you be the one that can stay behind your software and say, okay, this is 100% sure? If you are not aware what is outside, there are people, rich people, there are people, old people, there are people with money that they don't know how did they get. There are people that there are all variety different of peoples, and you must be sure before you develop something. And I think we are here to develop and not spend money. Then if you are capable to secure some other people, then definitely you are capable to earn a living for yourself. You can see here AI generated phishing, something that I told before. People develop everything. You can see Arab here that I mentioned earlier, and also Cyan said something about Arab deepfake haste. People show as humans, but they are not, and then they give you a scam that compromises you, on all different variety of levels. Here is a scenario from Arab. So people have done a lot. Arab has lost 20 million. Hong Kong Hong Kong employee was tricked, so he lost $200 million, and then it happened because of that AI generated video. So there are people doing it on daily basis. At first you might think, okay, I would never do this, but there are people doing it. You must understand people before you go out and say, I want to develop something. You might not be compromised, but that doesn't mean you are sophisticated enough to develop a platform. There are people that are spending 200 millions over a video conference call. There are millions of people that are earning that money on TikTok doing crazy videos. Why wouldn't there be people spending millions on something valuable? So that is a cyber crime, and it will always be available. So make sure not just to understand technologies, make sure to understand what are people and how how that works. So always remember this phrase: human behavior and company culture are greatest security risks than technical vulnerability. There are technical vulnerabilities, but people become even bigger factor. But you must know both. You cannot go only knowing about a factor that you find most valuable. You have to know what's phishing, what are weak passwords, what is a social engineering, what is a human story, and what does that mean. So make sure you have your narratives, and make sure you have a sophisticated person that is a mentor or whatever, that is trying to teach you about that risk that is always available when you build a software or when you are using it. So yeah, that's a case. Also, there are cases all around. So be sure to follow some frameworks, like, for example, NIST cybersecurity framework. It provides a preventive, so some guidelines for organizations. So always there's some people that is trying to generalize it. So try at first to understand organizations that have protected themselves. They are usually following some functions, some frameworks, how to recover, how to respond, how to detect, how to protect, how to identify, and so on.
And that's
So yeah.
exactly what we're going to talk about next.
Cool.
So fantastic. Great job, Damir, and thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. We're going to jump into our next session. So meet us in session 4, and we will see you there. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.